Bill Tillman, Part 2, The Return to Pastor Springs. Bill's return to Pastor Springs wasn't dramatic. He didn't want a parade or a confrontation. He wanted to observe. He parked his truck on the edge of town right after sunset, when the streetlights were just starting to flicker on the way they did when he was a kid. The smell of wet leaves and cold autumn air crept through the cracked window. It was the same town, yet it felt smaller now, inferior, weak, just like everyone here once told him he was. As Bill stepped onto the cracked pavement, all 6'5" of his rebuilt frame seemed to swallow the shadows around him. Gone was the broken, deformed boy. In his place stood a man sculpted from 8 years of anger, discipline, and loss. A man with a new face, new confidence, and the money his grandmother left behind. Money he planned to use strategically. The plan had already begun. The town that pretends nothing happened. The first person to walk past him was Mrs. Callahan, the old-school secretary who once told him, "Kids like you attract trouble." She didn't recognize him. She smiled warmly. "Evening, sir." Bill nodded. A quiet fury burned inside him. He walked through the center of Pastor Springs, past the bakery that used to chase him out, the grocery store where the sheriff's deputies laughed at him, and the school where Raymond and Danny used him like a punching bag. The world had forgiven them, moved on, forgotten. Bill hadn't. The bullies, all grown up. Bill researched them before he showed up. Raymond Holt, once the ringleader, was now a mechanic at his father's garage. Thick, lazy, loud, nothing like the fearless bully he used to be. But Raymond still yelled at customers and slapped his girlfriend around when he thought no one was looking. Danny Wilcox became a volunteer deputy for the same sheriff's department that ruined Bill's life. He wore his badge like a trophy, not a responsibility. He bragged about arrests, about fights, about keeping the town clean. Bill smirked at the irony. Jessica and Nancy, their girlfriends back in the day, now lived ordinary lives. Jessica as a waitress at the diner, Nancy as a clerk at the town hall. Both still had the same cruel sparkle in their eyes. He saw it when they laughed with each other as Jessica mocked a shy teen girl walking by. Nothing changes in Pastor Springs, not unless something forces it to. The sheriff. Sheriff Roy was older now, slower, but still mean. Bill watched him walk into the diner, where people welcomed him like an old hero. Roy shook hands, kissed babies, laughed with his deputies, all while Bill stared at him from the corner booth. Roy had been the man who condemned a crying 10-year-old to a detention center based on lies. He got away with it. He even got promoted. But not for long. The first move, a quiet footstep back into their lives. Bill bought property just outside Pastor Springs, an old farmhouse with a barn. Isolated, quiet, perfect. People assumed he was some wealthy outsider looking for a rural escape. They welcomed him with small-town charm they never once offered his parents. Bill kept smiling politely. The mask fit well, but at night, in the barn, Bill trained. Boxing, weightlifting, cardio, all the habits Jason had taught him. Every punch was a memory. Every rep was a promise. He didn't want chaos, not yet. He wanted each of them to feel what he felt: fear, confusion, and the slow buildup of dread. The first target, Raymond. Bill started with Raymond, not to kill him, but to break him psychologically. One night, Raymond closed the garage late. He walked to his car, keys jingling, when he saw a note taped to the windshield. "I remember what you did. You lit the fire first." Raymond froze. His eyes darted around, but the street was empty. Bill watched from the woods, silent as the night. It began. The second target, Danny. Deputy Danny received a different kind of message. Every night during patrol, Bill followed him. Not close enough to be seen, just close enough to be felt. Danny pulled over 3 different cars during the week, shaking each time. Twice he called for backup over nothing. Rumors began swirling in the department. Danny's losing it. Danny's hearing things. Danny's scared of the dark now? Perfect. Bill wanted him broken before he delivered the truth. The women. Jessica and Nancy's turn came quietly. Jessica found a burnt toy on her doorstep, a small melted figure resembling a child. Nancy found an anonymous message inserted into her mailbox. You laughed while they burned. Neither woman slept that night. Bill watched their fear spread. He wanted them to crack slowly, but this isn't just about revenge. Late one evening, Bill visited the remains of his childhood home. It was harder than he expected. The lot was empty now, except for the stone foundation still crumbling in the dirt. Someone had carved "condemned" into one of the old beams. Not a memorial, not a plaque, nothing to honor David and Jill Tillman. His parents mattered to no one, except him. Bill knelt in the ashes, his hand touched the soil. He whispered, "I'm back. I promised I'd make this right." And then something happens that Bill did not expect. Raymond, terrified from the notes, started drinking heavily. One night, he stumbled out of a bar and began telling people a story. The one the town hid, the one the sheriff buried. The truth. Whispers spread. People grew unsettled. For the first time, the perfect little town began questioning its own history. Sheriff Roy tried to silence it, but he was too late. The fear Bill had planted was growing roots, and Bill watched from afar, satisfied, but far from done. Because the next phase wasn't about fear. It was about exposing the entire town and forcing Pastor Springs to face what it did to a helpless 10-year-old boy. And once the truth came out, judgment would follow.